Hi, it's Simon and welcome back to Better Creating. Today, I am going to take you through the single greatest return on investment I think we can all make in ourselves every year. And that is to set goals and plan our year. Now, this is something that I have been doing for a couple of years now, and I can't tell you the shift it's made. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now had I not done it. If you want freedom, flexibility, fun, and some finances to take off in the direction you want, those big 4 Fs, I think this is a brilliant thing to be doing. The process is pretty simple. We review our calendar, we identify the wins and losses and lessons from them, and then we go and set those goals and a vision that we want to go towards. But remember, less is more. So focusing on less means you can leverage your time and energy for greater success and the benefits that come with them. So at the end of 2024, as we are now, and 2025 coming up, or whenever you are in your year, this is the moment for us to go through the best process I've found to do that. Now, of course, you're looking at a Notion screen, which is where I like to do it, but I'm also doing this in a planner. I've got this PDF of how to set goals and plan your year. Now, you don't have to download any of this stuff, but the tools are there provided by me with all the information in them if you want them. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the 3 stages of doing this, and I'll give you a little note when to pause the video and join in. So you could just watch this as a quick guide, or you could do it with me. You can do it on your iPad. If you wanted to, you could also jump across to the standalone goals tracker and guided yearly planner, which will take you through these steps, which we'll talk about in one moment. But we also have this as part of my wider Notion Life OS template. And if you're new here, that is what I use to plan and organize my entire life. It covers everything. And what's great about goal setting within a big system, a second brain system like this, is that it can then feed into and inform your task lists, your projects, your life areas as you want. So if you do own one of those templates, join in by jumping into the goal setting and yearly planning area, and we will work our way through these sections here. So it's probably time for us to jump into this process, and let's start with a quick overview of your wheel of life. We're going to look back first on our previous year, because without doing that, you can't really take action forward in an informed way. So the first thing I want you to do is take a kind of wider look and assess what areas of your life are working and what areas need more attention. And perhaps where would you like to, if I make this slightly smaller, where would you like to prioritize your time this year? So I actually, while we call it a wheel of life, actually prefer this because it gives us a kind of clearer view of kind of where we're at. You could break them into these areas, and maybe what we do is you could just start clean. So I'm just going to kind of delete actually all of these like that and work my way through. If you're working on this with me, if you haven't already started, this would be a moment to jump into building your wheel of life, and you could just do it on a piece of paper as I'm showing you here. Free time, I do not have enough of it. I'm going to put it in 3 and I am doing badly. Mental health, it's been a hard year, if I'm honest. We should all talk about these things. I'm going to say I'm kind of 4 or 5, and I want to spend more attention on that. Career, I think it's going well. Business management, definite improvements in the last year. That's going up to 8. Physical environment, we had a tough one, but it's okay. I'm going to kind of put that at a 6. Relationships and romance, I'm happy. Come on, let's be bold about it. That's going well. Although, I could invest more time in it. So this just starts to get you thinking, about where you stand. Money management is a low one. There is some, but it's not going well. Finances are okay. Fun, I need to give myself more time to do that. Physical health, I could spend more time on that. This one, it's low. And education, I am learning a lot of stuff. And what you'll see is, if we now just clear these buttons, you'll see that there's some areas here that I need to actually pay more attention to. And that's really, interestingly for me, it's more about looking after myself. So this just gives you a really clear kind of perspective on, what you're paying attention to and what you should prioritize. And therefore, I would probably propose that you want to move down and go, well, I want to focus on my health. Now, I think those 2 will just sit in one area. I'm going to move those to the top. And I think I want to focus on having some fun and making more free time. So that probably means I need to actually invest in my business management as well. Pause the video if you need to, and then we will move on to stage 2. Right, section 2. Let's now move on to completing your yearly reflection. And to do that, I'm going to want to either jump to my system here where we can do it within a PDF. Now, the great thing about an iPad for reflection is you can actually write details into an iPad PDF, so you could do it like that. But let's talk first of all about the yearly reflection. As you'll see here, this is about going through your calendar and really thinking about what were your big events of the year. Now, we're not going to analyze them too much to start with. So I've gone back to the beginning of January and I can see, look, you know, there are things like Sherlock. I was working on a production and it will help me remind, I was storyboarding for a new show. You could do this on a month level. Stay at Village, Montana. That was when I went skiing. So it's reminding me of all the stuff that happened. So as you do this, if we then did this in the system for Notion, we're going to start here with the reflection, and I'm going to click within this on start my yearly reflection. Now that is going to generate a new view. I can open that view up, and this is essentially what you will find in this planner, but within Notion. I'm going to name this. Now we're reflecting for the year 2024. And the first stage is just to look at what was your year about. So I'm going to go through the calendar. I've got a couple of examples in here, as I've shown you. I went skiing with friends and loved ones, and I opened a Sherlock production. So we're going to create new things. So what else did I do? Let's jump to the calendar. Okay, so there's Notion ambassadors, for example. I went to an event for that. So I'm going to add a new page. List these in, and then I like to link them to a life area. So I'm going to put that as people and relationships. And another way to do this within the system is click new here and it will pop up and I can add more. So this was a big moment for me. You want to link this to a year. So I'm going to click link to the year, then link it to the life area. So I'm going to say that is events and big changes. I think that was a big one for me. This stuff, win-loss, lessons and top 20%, we're going to leave to the next stage. You're just getting it all down from your calendar. Now, it is worth saying, do not forget to think about the positives and the negatives. It's important that we cover both. Now, if you're using this system, you might find you want to turn on your filters and set the year to the year that this was in. And then it will mean, if you leave it like that, every time you add a new item, it will automatically link it to that year. That's really worthwhile. And you could just work through in life areas as well. So you might also want to pick your life area here and highlight it as I'm just going to focus on people and relationships. And then you could start to just add new items in and it will filter it by those things. So we could say, for example, and therefore you can start to be thinking of whether these are good or bad things, right? So now is probably the moment to pause the video and for you to now work through your entire calendar as you do it and just add a bunch of stuff in. Now, I'm not going to put everything in, but I'm going to put some examples in so that we can work with them. Okay, so hopefully now you have completed your reflection and listed your significant events. So here's a little example of a bunch of mine, and I've just put them in on the year and linked them to a life area. I also added my own environment one. You could add your own things into it as you wish, but it's good to do it in sections. And I found, you know, like I could now, if I haven't gone deep in one area, I could now go further and do things around like, oh, what did I learn and what did I develop in terms of skills? But, you know, you can kind of see a list of things here, like visiting people, some events I went to, you know, this is projects and actions that I took. So yeah, we've listed those in. So the next stage is going to be identifying your wins and losses. It's really simple, this. What I really want you to do is identify which of these items in your list were wins, which were losses, and then write down the lessons that you took from them. So if we jump to my example here, I only saw certain friends and family on occasions. So for me, that is a loss. And the lesson is book in time with family in advance from Jan. That's something that I can do. Recruited a general manager and built a positive relationship. Really found it helped build the business. Okay, you get the idea, and I will put that in as a win. So you could just go through and go win, loss, win, loss. That would be a nice way to do it. That was a win. That was a win. That was a win. And you'll see you will generally err on the side of wins. That was a win. So you can see with me that I've generally gone win, win, win. So there's a few losses down the bottom when I started to think about it. So what I would suggest is that you make sure you divide this up as well. So it could be a really good thing to use the filters in Notion and to just filter to say loss and go, okay, what else do I want to list in? So in this section, you could continue to add events and reflections and linking them to the areas. And you might also go, oh, I've got very little in a certain area, and you could focus on that life area as well. Jump over to doing that now, and you can see how it goes. Make sure you get subscribed here as well, because there's plenty more tools and opportunities to help you with these ideas, the tech that's really moving the needle to help you build your best life on Better Creating. But yeah, pause the video and then we'll jump to the next stage, which is your 80-20 recap. Now, the advantage of setting wins and losses is that ability to really take the lessons, particularly from the losses. And I found this has been really powerful today, actually. I can see, there's things that I really want to do, like, recognizing the projects that really need to be prioritized, to drop other stuff, to make sure I book flights and travel and the fun stuff, time with family early, get it booked in so there's no escape. Those things are really great. And also to take my rehab seriously on my dodgy knee. So it's worth thinking about. Okay, so you've probably now done this and, you can see everything that's in there. Let's now jump to the 80-20 recap. So you will now see two views, your wins and your losses. Now, on paper, you would probably want to do this just by kind of listing it in, two boxes. And I want you to decide what were the 20% of wins that most moved the needle and made a real impact positively on your life. And then also the 20% of losses that had the most detrimental impact on your life. So if you want to have a little think about that, take a moment to take a closer look. Okay, so I'm going to go through, for example, on my wins, and I just want to pick out, it's got to be 20%, so it can't be everything of this list. So the big things that made a difference, I think it was probably recruiting people to help me. That made a huge difference. And I think getting the big project done early, that's kept the business going, and then it's made more space for everything else. Okay, that's not 20%, but it's a short list. These were the big ones for me, right? That I started to do more exercise and go on events with family. I prioritized the big projects, and I took some kind of big event trip visits, which I think were properly good. You're then going to do the same for what had the biggest negative impact. I would say taking too long over this. Now, I also have to be kind to myself, right? Because I also think that I didn't take time for myself. And you might say that that needs to go in there, to pay more attention to those things. Yeah, okay, I'm going to put those two things as my losses. So make sure you take a moment to pause the video here if you want to do that 80-20 recap. But I'm going to now just kind of share with you a little bit about the next section, writing and reflecting. And I'm doing that, I can do that within the template, but a really nice place to do this is actually with pen and paper. Write in some of these unfinished sentences. I think this is a lovely way to reflect. So for example, it might be, I think my biggest risk I took this year was probably investing a lot of money in some help, which really made a difference. The wisest decision I made, going on holiday, I don't know. Anyway, you get the idea. You can go through the biggest surprise of the year was the 3 people who influenced me the most. So there's a bunch of other stuff in this that I think could be really lovely. I've also got key questions. So you might want to think, what are your major milestones? What are the challenges that you've overcome? this year? Personal growth. In what ways have you grown or changed as a person over the past year? And self-care and well-being. How did you take care of your physical, mental and emotional health? So it's this actual writing process that I think really does move the needle on reflection and make a big difference. So I have those same things listed in here. So if you wanted to pause the video and take a closer look at the questions that I propose you spend some time on, you could do that here. And I also have a little final section which is saying goodbye to last year. And just a nice moment to kind of take a beat, reflect on what was good, what was bad, and really just kind of put a button in it. Okay, so that is the reflection stage of this process. You might want to get yourself another tea or coffee because we're going to now move on to the coming year and what is coming up. And that is where we shift into setting our goals and our vision for the new year. It is time to think ahead. And if you remember where we started with that wheel of life. And so I want you to go back to your life areas and make some decisions which of these you want to prioritize. We did it before and you can kind of come back to it again. You might want to go back up to the wheel of life in your system, but this is just a view of where we're at. And of course, we can sort that view by prioritizing it this year. And I'm going to prioritize it by descending, because the next thing we want to do is jump to this, a reflection on, well, a vision of what you want this year to be about. So again, there's some little examples here if we dive in a little closer. Unfinished sentences, I think this is a really nice way to do things. This year will be energized by. You could set yourself a timer to do this. It's a nice way to do things. This year, I will not procrastinate anymore over. This year, I will spend less time X, Y, and Z. This year I will say yes when, this year I'll invest more in, etc., etc. I think with this kind of system, it's really good to give yourself these prompts and work from them. And then from that, you'll be able to really make sure that you're being rigorous about the process. So if I just show you now, those are the details you want to spend some time on. So you could pause it here to do that. And then we're going to go into finding our purpose. So what I really like about these is that you're able to visualize and get perspective on what you want to dream of for this year. Because the thing with goal setting, right, is that I think it's easy for us to set too safe a goal, or the other end of the scale, something way too big that you just can never imagine reaching. So I think these are really lovely prompts, things like an ordinary day. What does your ideal normal weekday look like? What do you want written under your tombstone? And I also like this. Who are the people you most admire and why? And what qualities do they possess that you'd wish to emulate? Anyway, you can pause the video here and work through those same prompts in whatever way you want. And then we will jump to setting our goals. It's time to set goals. And to do that, I would like us to focus on dream setting. Now, this is different to goal setting because it allows you to just dream big and not be too realistic, but also it allows you to think in larger chunks of time. And this is probably the best bit of information that I learned from some rather cool self-development authors like Jim Rohn and Zig Ziglar. I also took a few ideas here from Ali Abdul, the excellent YouTuber in the productivity space. So the first thing would be to set a timer. Let's just zoom in a bit here and set that timer for 10 minutes and make a list of everything you might want as goals or dreams over the next 10 years. It can be as big or as small as you like. Step 2 would be then to write a time frame for those in years, 1, 3, 5, or 10 years, and then you can group them by those time frames. And there's a little quote from Ali down there. Now, you'll see if we go down here, that's where you list it. I can then list them as 1 year's goals, 3-year goals, 5-year goals and vision, 10-year goals and vision. And this is the point. We rise to the level of our goals and we fall to the level of our system. So if I jump into my Notion space, you'll see that I have a rather nice little section for this. And you can list everything in. There's some prompts. I want to learn, I want to be, etc., etc. You can then link them to a time frame in this view, and then you can see them listed in those sections. That's the great thing about Notion, is it will simplify that process for you. So that's the idea. take a moment to pause the video and follow this process, and I'll see you when you've got it done. I've created a couple of examples. I've got my kind of 1 year dream setting prompts and my 3 year dream setting prompts. And that is that section completed of the yearly reflection in this system. So we can shut all of that up and it is done. So how do you now set that and turn that into goals? The big final step. Yes, my friends, it is time to set your goals. Down here, I have finished my dream setting and I've got some 1 year and 3 year prompts of things that I'd love to do, little examples for you. So we can actually now shut this section up and go back to the goal setting system. And this is where we're going to drop the new goals in. So if I shut section 2 up, we've completed that. We can now go to set your goals for the year. Now, what I like about this within my template is that where you did that dream setting, you're now able to open it up and see the 1 year goals you thought should be sat within this area. Now I can prioritize them. We're going to add them to a new year. So to do that, you need to do a couple of things. We're going to, number one, we need to set up a new year. Now in the Notion system, I have my years database here, and I want to create a new year. And we're going to call it, you guessed it, 2025. We just need to create that there. That's great. There it is. All I need to do within this system is, if I wanted to keep goals and move them on, I could click and change it to 2025 as well, or leave them in both. So that's nice. So that's a goal for that year. And let's say that that one, I'm going to move to 2025 completely. That would be how you would do that. Okay. You can look at your achieved goals. So let's say I did build a house, click achieved. It would disappear and go to there. And then all of your goals that you could possibly want to think about can be listed within this view. So to add the new goals to the year, we've now created our new year. We can start doing that here. I've now got a view within this drag and drop section of my dream setting, and I can drag them in to the new year, which I've just created. Go to more events. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to drop it in to here. Write a goal as if it's something that you have already completed. So the way this would work is, I have attended, let's say I want to go to 4 inspiring and energizing events or experiences in 2025. I can set a deadline for when I want that to happen. So let's say that has to be done by end of the year. There you go. And I can then also write any obstacles or solutions that might come up. Something like that. And then you can put in solutions. You get the idea. Yeah, that's listed in. The reason I have this is I can number my goals that work. I'm going to update this to say I want it to be I am someone, something like that, for example. There's no deadline on that. I'm just going to make sure that happens, but we may as well make it the end of the year as well. So these are some examples of what you might do. So that's goal setting, but there are some next steps that you might like to take. And to do that, I recommend considering some of these ideas. Adding milestones to each goal, writing down obstacles and solutions, and then maybe planning these into a task manager or habit tracker. So in order to show you how that might work, I want to quickly demo how this integrates into my wider system and how I actually add goals into the system and see these reports turn up. So let's take a little look at that. If we then open that up, I'm going to turn that into a new goal. That then allows me to start to do a couple of other things in here. So it gives me the time frame of when it needs to be done, and I can start adding tasks as milestones to being able to make sure that you actually action each goal in a way that then comes back to you and you actually deliver it. So for this one here, I've attended 4 inspiring events. Let's think about some new tasks. I can add some new items in here, and I'm going to say, for example, and then I want to say, and when you do this, you can decide if a task is important or urgent. I'm going to say it's important. I'm going to make sure that I give myself a time to do it, to really commit myself to it. So we can give it like that, shift to make that time. It's linked to a goal. You can see here, it links back to the goal. And that is the joy of it. You could then work through this. And once you've done it, we can come back to the top and you can see inspiring events. I've set a couple of tasks. Let's just add one more in here. We've now got 3 tasks that sit within the goal. Just to show you how these reports work, if I then click that I've completed contacting Apple, it will say that it's done. and then I will see that I've done one of the 3 tasks and 33% is complete. So it allows you then to track where you're at. Now, the final part of this is to say that you'll also see there are life areas and habits. So I might want to link this goal back to the life area. I think career and business actually, but I might also want to link it to mind and spirituality because it keeps me happy, experiencing new things. You get the idea, right? Another area, someone who prioritizes their health, you might want to link habits. So I could link to a related habit, which is someone who practices gratitude. And you can then track habits within my wider system, which is rather good. So I'm not going to go into loads of detail here, but if you do get excited by the potential of tracking habits within a habit tracker, or maybe you want to do some workout tracking and meal planning, there is a ton of additional systems, task and project managers that you can be using in my Notion Life OS. So that could be worth you checking out if you feel that this Notion system could really help you move forward with your goals. Well, let me know how you get on in the comments below and share your top goal for next year with the rest of us. We can all hold each other to account and come back and see how we got on. Now, all of this is worthwhile, right? But unless you find the actual systems and strategies to make this stuff happen, it kind of can go for nothing. Those New Year's resolution issues. Well, if you want to go further with building a second brain or any kind of setup to help you make this stuff happen, check this video out or this one for some of my best beautiful tech and hardware that just makes work and play that little bit better. Hit my face to subscribe and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.